The reason dating sober feels scary is not about alcohol. It's actually something much deeper. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about in this video. A lot of people say, I drink because I'm shy, or to take the edge off, or to have that liquid courage. But what they're really saying is, I don't trust myself to fully handle this experience raw and authentically. My name's Sydney. I have been sober curious for over 5 years and completely alcohol free for almost 3 years. I've gone on plenty of first dates sober. I've traveled sober, raved sober, gone to concerts, house parties. You name it, I've done it sober. And I also work part-time as a pediatric psych nurse, so I know firsthand how coping mechanisms and relationships can shape our mental health. And now I work as a women's dating self-trust coach where I help women stop abandoning themselves in dating, whether it's ignoring their intuition, people pleasing, settling for less than they deserve, or relying on substances to feel confident in dating. The root of all of these things is the same: trusting yourself. And so that's what we're going to talk about in this video. This video is not to convince you to quit drinking, but to help you build enough self-trust that you don't need anything outside of yourself to feel safe, confident, and decisive in dating and in your decision-making in general. The first step in learning how to date without substances is learning, what are you trying to regulate? Substances aren't the problem, it is a symptom of the bigger problem. So the first how of how you're going to learn how to date without substances is to ask yourself before drinking, using, anything like that, ask yourself, what am I hoping this will do for me? A lot of times we drink to take the edge off. Dating is very vulnerable and very nerve-wracking, and it is totally okay to want to lessen that uncomfortable emotion. So you are going to ask yourself, what am I hoping this does for me? Do you want alcohol to make you more interesting, less awkward, more confident, more flirty? Ask yourself, what am I hoping this does for me? This way you can meet that need in other ways. So if you're looking to feel more confident, you can meet that need in other ways. If you're looking to lessen your anxiety, you can meet that in other ways. I'm not trying to convince you to stop drinking. I'm trying to encourage you to build new coping mechanisms. The next thing you're going to do is stop trying to get rid of your feelings, okay? Dating is nerve-wracking. You might feel excited, you might feel embarrassed, awkward. There's a lot of emotions that come up in dating. And what you're going to do, instead of numbing out, distracting, lessening that feeling, is you are going to allow it and you're going to accept it. It's okay to be nervous before a date. It's okay to be excited. It's okay to sit in an awkward silence and be like, oh my God, I hate this. This is so uncomfortable. The discomfort's not going to kill you. And so the next step in how to date sober is sit with your feelings and accept your feelings, which can be very uncomfortable. I have a whole other episode on it. Feeling uncomfortable emotions like nervousness, awkward, embarrassment, those are not signals that you're doing something wrong. Those aren't signals that you need to be more confident, that you said something weird. Those emotions are there because you're doing something unknown. You're doing something vulnerable and intimate, and that can be uncomfortable, and that's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to check in with yourself before, during, and after the date. A lot of times in dating, people can wonder, oh my gosh, do they like me? And then you're people pleasing and you're talking too much and you're overcompensating because you want this person to like you. And checking in with yourself curbs this habit. So instead of asking, do they like me? Ask, how do I feel with them? Do I like them? Dating is essentially collecting information in the early stages. And that brings me to the next tip, which is use your body as a compass. Your body communicates to you all the time. And so the next thing you're going to do when learning how to date without substances is you're going to pay attention to how your body feels while you're on that date. You're going to notice your breathing, notice if you feel any tension in your body, any nerves in your stomach, and checking in with yourself in this way before, during, and after the date can give you a lot of really valuable information. At the end of the date, you can ask yourself, how do I feel now compared to when we started? A great perk about dating sober is your intuition is much clearer. You're not under the influence of alcohol or weed or whatever it is, and you are able to listen to your body's cues. You are able to check in with yourself and ask yourself, how do I actually feel about this person, without any judgments being clouded under the influence of substances, which can make decision making so much easier because you're not feeling good because you had a couple drinks. You're feeling good because you had a really great connection, and it's easier to discern those things when you're not under the influence of anything. The next tip I have for dating sober, and this is if you genuinely do not want substances involved in your dating process or your life in general for whatever reason, is you're going to come in with a game plan. So you're going to order a mocktail. You're going to say no. You're going to have some type of game plan if that person asks you to drink. Maybe you can even let them know before the date, hey, just letting you know I don't drink. And coming up with a game plan or a strategy beforehand makes it much more likely that you're going to say no and you're not going to drink or use substances because you've already thought about it, you've come up with a game plan, maybe you've even already communicated that to the person that you're going on a date with. And a great part about this is this really weeds people out. If you're going on a date with someone and you order a mocktail and you say, oh, I don't drink, and they're like, oh my gosh, I could never drink. Or they start going on a tangent about, oh, I really should stop drinking because, and then they tell you, a lot of times when I tell people that I'm sober, I get a lot of information about other people's relationship with alcohol, which is really good information to have because it weeds people out early on. If people peer pressure you into drinking, if they criticize your choice to not drink, if they talk about their problematic relationship with alcohol, that is good information to have early on, and that makes decision making that much easier. And the last tip I have for learning how to date sober is give yourself permission to leave. When you're sober, it's so much easier to honor your boundaries and your knowing and your decision making because, like I said, nothing is clouding your judgment. There is nothing wrong with getting up and leaving a date early if you are not feeling it, if you don't like this person, if they cross some of your boundaries. You don't even need a reason to leave. And the more that you practice and honor saying no, the easier it will be, and the more that you will trust your decision-making process, which is what so much of dating is about, is learning how to trust your decision-making. So to summarize, the steps for how to date without substances is you're going to figure out what the substance is trying to regulate and do for you. Then you're going to accept with and sit with the feeling and the discomfort. You're going to check in before, during, and after the date, how you feel. And you're also going to check in and listen to your body. You're going to come up with a game plan for how you're going to say no to alcohol, whether it's a mocktail, telling them beforehand, or simply just saying no. And then you're going to give yourself permission to leave and know that it's okay to say no at any time. And here's what I want you to remember from this episode. The goal is not to be someone who's never nervous. The goal is not to be someone who never wants a drink. The goal is to be someone who trusts themselves through whatever comes up. Dating without substances is all about increasing your capacity to be present with yourself and to be present with another human being and to allow yourself to fully be seen. It's about learning to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it and numbing out. And it's truly about honoring your inner knowing, how you feel, and the decisions that you make. Ultimately, it's trusting that no matter what happens on this date, that you will have your own back no matter what. So that was my how-to on how to date without substances. If this episode resonated with you and you're realizing that your biggest challenge in dating is actually in trusting yourself and your decision making, I'd love to support you and work together. That's exactly why I designed my group coaching program, Too Hot to Settle. In this group coaching program, we work together to rebuild self-trust, strengthen your relationship with yourself, and ultimately all of your relationships with others, and help you date from a place of confidence rather than fear. If you're ready to stop repeating the same relationship patterns over and over and learn how to actually trust yourself in your decision making in dating, I will leave a link to the Too Hot to Settle waitlist below. That will get you $200 off and also first access whenever the next round opens up. All right, thank you guys so much for listening to this video. It means the world to me. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you next week. Until next time, may you be well.